Okay, I'm gonna keep this video as straightforward as possible, and I'm gonna review the Heroin Symmetrical Egg 8.88 shape that I've been skating recently. Probably for the last month or so I've been skating it. I'm definitely gonna be using some of the footage that you guys have probably already seen in my most recent videos, just because that's all the footage I have of me skating this board, and that's what I've been skating the last month. So I'm gonna be using that footage as examples. So in the center of the board, it's 8.88, and then it tapers down to around the wheels about 8.5, and the board is 32 inches long. I'm trying to like Google stats. I even texted Foss to ask if what the stats were for like wheelbase and such, but I can't seem to find anything. Oh, wait a second, actually he just texted me back right now. There you go, we can see it on the screen. Screenshot that. 14.1 inch wheelbase and 8.5 above the trucks. There you go. Just in the nick of time. So I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about Slappies, because that's initially why I got this board. The shape is designed for Slappies, I think. Don't quote me. But the way that the board is tapered, it allows you to get onto curbs easier because there's not a lot of corner in the way for when you slappy onto curbs. So I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about flip tricks, I want to talk about weight, and I want to talk about switching over, why I switched over, if I'm gonna stay switched over, etc. So let's go over the first thing, Slappies. I find that it definitely makes Slappies easier for me. It's easier to get onto the curb for obvious reasons. Just like I stated about there isn't a lot of corner on the nose and the tail, so you can easily get up onto the curb. I'm not sure that there's much else to it than that, but yeah, that's initially why I set up this board, because I wanted a slappy board, and it's definitely been a lot of fun, and it's definitely made it a lot easier. Slappies are really fun, but to be honest, I don't feel like I'm very good at them. I can frontside slappy pretty decently, but everything else I seem to struggle with the exception of like slappy crooks, but I'm no bev up. Adjusting to flip tricks on this board was definitely a thing that I had to adjust to. But once I adjusted, I noticed my kickflips were a lot, I don't know how to say it, like they just felt a lot better because there's no corner right there when you flick your foot. So you have to like consciously not flick off the corner of the nose. And I mean, really, I try not to do that anyway, even when I do have a more rounded nose. But since there's even less of a corner on these boards, you really need to flick straight off the nose because it'll just flip. They feel like they're popping higher. I don't know if that's an illusion, but they feel like they're popping higher, and they feel a little bit more boned, tweaked out, feel more dipped when I get the flick properly. For a while when I first started skating the board, I was constantly missing my flick, but that was just the adjustment that I had to make. And everyone tells me that this board is like the 3-flip board. For whatever reason, I have not gotten used to 3-flipping on this board yet. I'm still used to the corners and the boxiness of a regular board. I also have to keep in mind that this board does weigh a lot more because not only do I have rails on the board, which you might think, okay, yeah, rails are plastic, they're super light, but also my truck size it's a full ½ inch bigger, so that adds weight there. The wheels that I put on this board are bigger. I set this whole board up with skating curbs in mind, and now I'm just skating it. So I kind of stopped skating my other board and just started skating this one, and now I don't even really feel a weight difference at all because now I'm used to it. But yeah, I don't know if it's the weight. It's probably the weight, honestly, but I still haven't gotten used to it yet. I have done a few of them on this board, and when they work, they really work. You just have less corner there on the tail, so it allows you to scoop more directly. Switch flips and nollie flips, which I do a lot of those relatively feel the same. I don't really have any issues with those on this board. Heel flips are something that I seem to have a little bit of a struggle with, and I think that's because I'm used to really kicking my foot off to the side of the board when I do heel flips. So again, I have to really consciously think to flick straight off the nose of the board since you're missing all of that corner. But when you flick, when you're doing like a kick flip or you're doing any straightforward motion of a flick, when the board grabs your foot, it really grabs your foot, and I think that allows the board to come up higher off the ground, and it kind of stays under your feet more. So that leads me into the next thing. I want to talk about the weight of the board. Now, since the board is technically wider, I usually skate an 8.25, but at the wheels it's 8.5, and in the center it's almost 9 inches. So I had to step my truck size up, which for me is a whole nother thing that I have to get used to. Not only am I getting used to a new board shape, but I'm also getting used to the width of the truck, which if you've never stepped up your truck size, I don't know about you, But for me, I kind of have to relearn where my pinch is, and that's because I rely a lot on my back truck when I'm grinding, especially when it comes to rails. I like to do a lot of 5.0s on rails. My pinch usually lies like in the middle of my foot on my standard 8.5 board with my 8.5 trucks. When I step my board size up and the truck size, the pinch ends up being a little bit closer to the heel. So in my mind, when I'm skating, I have to adjust and I have to consciously move my feet down a little bit on the board to get that same pinch. That's an option, or you can simply just bite the bullet and get used to the pinch closer to the heel. I personally don't like doing that. I would rather just keep my pinch where it is because that's what I've trained my body to do, and that's where I know where it is. I really only have that problem with 5.0s and frontside 50-50s because sometimes I'll heel side lock in and I won't cross lock on a frontside 50-50. So if my heels are too far on the board tends to shoot over the other side of the rail and my back falls on the same side of the rail. But when it comes to crooks or pinching any other trick, it's actually a benefit. Since I have more truck to grind on the ledge, it actually allows me more leeway and it just makes it easier for the trick. When it comes to slides, everything there feels the same. I don't really think I need to go over that. I mean, I have rails on this board, but that's neither here nor there because it doesn't really pertain to the shape of the board. I just put those on as a fun little accessory. When it comes to skate products, I tend to lean on the side of where I kind of just feel like everything's a gimmick. But I will say this, when you're setting up a new board, especially if it's just for certain types of skating, I mean, I'm kind of debunking my own my own opinion right here, right now. Because I mean, there's plenty of different kinds of boards. There's mega ramp boards, there's vert boards, there's street boards with really small wheel, there's 7.5 really skinny boards that people like to skate. Really, I kind of just think everything is all preference. But when you're setting up a board geared towards specific type of skating, I think I've kind of proven myself wrong in the sense that it does allow more access for that type of skating. And it kind of just becomes fun. I mean, I think really that's the whole idea of it, is just for it to be fun. I just hate when I see companies promote a product and they'll say that like, this thing is better or unbreakable or X, Y, and Z, and it's just not. They're just promoting some like, I don't know, garbage technology that has no real backing behind it. I don't really think that that tends to happen too much more nowadays. I'm more so referring to like old skate shoes when they used to have all this crazy technology in them and they used to be big and giant and bulky. I never felt like it made any difference. So I made this entire video and I didn't even talk about the fact that the tail and nose are symmetrical. So the shape of this board is literally symmetrical. You can skate it which any way. And the best thing about that is when you do a pop shove it or a varial flip where the board only spins 180 degrees, you don't have to do another 180 degree trick to get your board back to the normal way because you can skate it anyways. Me personally, I still put a line in my board. I want to distinguish which side I am skating more for the tail and the nose. I don't think I would ever be able to get used to just skating a board however it ends up, but you do have that option. I like that that's an option, but the thing is, the trucks are going to mold to the way that you stand on the board. So if you're gonna do that, I suggest getting brand new trucks and then just skate the board however, so the board can get used to an evenly distributed weight. Your bushings won't get accustomed to one way that you stand on the board. But this board definitely is very fun and it definitely allows me to do tricks in a different way and get into certain tricks like slappies a lot easier, and I can flip my board. It feels much more efficient when I flip my board since I am flicking straight off the nose, and if I don't miss. I'm still getting used to it fully. Other than that, it's a super fun board and I really enjoy riding it, and it's kind of put a new level of fun back into skating for me. Just keep in mind that if you are going to get a board like this or a board that's a bigger size, you're gonna have to step up your truck size. I mean, you don't have to, but personally I think it's ideal because I like my trucks directly under the width of the edge of my board. Some people don't like it. Some people even like their trucks to stick out past their board, which is also fine. It's all preference. It doesn't matter anyway. Just have fun with it. But if you like this board and if you're curious about getting one, I'm gonna put Heroin's website in the description below and you can go buy one. Okay, I hope this helped. I tried to do my best. I'm not the best at reviews, product reviews or anything. So yeah, I don't know, I hope it helped. Thanks.